Shabbat Shalom and welcome. Nice to see you here. Tami and I are in the sanctuary. This is at Indianapolis Hebrew Congregation. You may not recognize the building, having been away from it for so long, but it is still here. And the cantor had the pleasure of being here last week. Tonight it is our turn, and we're happy to join you. Thanks for joining us. Before we get started at 6:15, we will do a little bit of singing. One thing I'd like to mention before that, though, is that I hope that you were able to be with us during the week at Yom HaShoah observances, the commemoration of the Holocaust. Still important, more important than ever in some ways, that we communicate to the world and communicate to the next generation the stories and the lessons that we have learned. So we'll be doing a little bit of honoring that tonight, as well as welcoming Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, Tami.
Shabbat Shalom. Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol ha'aretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol ha'aretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru miyom liyom Yeshuato, Shiru l'Adonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru miyom liyom Yeshuato, Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol ha'aretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol ha'aretz, Shiru l'Adonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru miyom liyom Yeshuato, Shiru l'Adonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru miyom liyom Yeshuato.
Shiru l'Adonai, sing with us to God. We join our voices together.
Mizmor shir liyom HaShabbat, tov le'edot le'Adonai, u'zamer l'shimcha elyon, u'zamer l'shimcha elyon. Mizmor shir liyom HaShabbat, tov le'edot le'Adonai, u'zamer l'shimcha elyon, u'zamer l'shimcha elyon. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. Please join with us.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
מזמור שיר יום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
Traditional song for Shabbat, Mizmor Shir. It's a zemer, which is a song that we are singing. It's also a psalm that we say, Tov l'hodot l'Adonai. It is good for us to be together, to join our praises together.
ידיד נפש אב הרחמן, ידיד נפש אב הרחמן, משוך עבדך, ארץ צאנך, משוך עבדך, ילאי לי 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 לי, Avarachaman, Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman, Meshohavdecha, El Retzonecha, Meshohavdecha, Ya la 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 la, El Muladarecha. Yarutz Avdecha, Kemo Ayal, Yishtachave El Muladarecha.
Yedid Nefesh, my heart's delight. Yedid is actually the most beloved, the relationship that we feel the most intensely, the most intimately. That is how we feel about, through these Psalms, how we feel about God. Source of mercy. We leap like deers. Ayal is a deer. We yarutz avdecha kamo ayal. We leap up like deers in order to stand in awe before you. This is a wonderful way for us to begin to imagine placing to the side the week that has passed, wherever you are coming from, to arrive more fully in this place. One of the ways that we like to do that is by recognizing the passing time. Specifically, this week, we will welcome in a new month. That means that we are celebrating Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of a new month, in the week to come. And it's a pleasure to welcome a member of our board of directors, Jennifer Kelly, to share some words from the new month and the sisterhood.
Hello. Tonight we gather together to welcome the month of Iyar. Although it does not contain major holidays, every single day of the month is included in the counting of the Omer. The mitzvah to count each of the 49 days starting from the second day of Pesach to the day before Shavuot. Sophia HaOmer is a period of introspection and self-refinement. Counting each day sounds deceptively simple, but is not an easy task. It requires us to stop what we are doing and mindfully pause so that we can take meaning each day for 49 days straight. We have just ended Pesach, where we have all these beautiful symbols and rituals all around us to remember and reflect. With this month Iyar that is lacking major holidays, we are forced to look within. But in this month, we are not only allowed to focus on ourselves, it is a mitzvah to do so. We can take this time to reflect and spend time in the calm of quiet, using this time to push us towards mindfulness and thereby moving us closer to holiness rather than distancing ourselves from it. In some traditions, there could be up to 5 steps each evening, starting with meditation before the blessing, reciting the count, reading Psalm 67, and then closing with a prayer. But you could take this a step further and focus on a different aspect of yourself. Maybe it's not about change for you. Maybe it's just about giving yourself permission to just breathe and let your soul connect with God to illuminate each day. Whether you use an app or a calendar to do the count, think of the journey that the ancient Israelites took after leaving Egypt and before arriving at Sinai to receive the Torah. We also can take that time to reflect on aspects of ourselves that might need healing or repair, so we ourselves will be ready to receive Torah once again at Shavuot. Each day of Iyar represents another step in the spiritual journey towards Sinai, but don't forget the beauty of the journey along the way. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction to a beautiful month. A month of ascension, you might say, where we move from Passover that hopefully you were able to celebrate in some way with family and friends. Many of you I know joined us and the clergy team. We had a pretty hilarious time, actually, and really engaging. And then we make our way from Passover to Shavuot, as you so beautifully articulated, and we see it as a personal journey as well as a collective one. In this moment, as we contemplate, perhaps for the first time this year, what it means to be back into interaction with other people, to be in community with other people, in small ways getting bigger, perhaps it is an important moment for us to think about moving in that direction during the counting of the Omer. In addition, as I mentioned, ER is traditionally a time when we consider Yom HaShoah, in addition to Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel's Memorial Day, followed immediately by Israel's Independence Day. It is not an accident that all of these days follow so closely together in the calendar, as our ancestors wanted us to consider the lessons, even of the last few generations, and the way that we have taken those defeats, taken those challenges, taken the moments of struggle, and we have allowed ourselves to grow stronger from them. So in this moment of memory, we begin with silence. It is the silence of death, the silence after destruction. There are times when songs falter, when darkness fills life, when martyrdom becomes a constellation of faith against the unrelieved black of space about us. In that moment, there are no words to reach beyond the edge of night, no messenger to tell the full tale. There is only silence, the silence of Job, the silence of the 6 million, the silence of memory. In this moment of Shabbat, let us remember them as we link together all of our silences. This is a moment of memory. It is also a moment of celebration. I do want to mention, as we move through this moment of Kabbalat Shabbat, that in addition to this service happening right now, there's also a family service that is our Rabbi Jordana with Samantha Thal. Some of you may know her from camp, doing a really wonderful service for our younger congregants. So you are welcome to stay with us here. You are also welcome to go back and forth if you'd like. The links are right there on our webpage, and we hope that you will check out what they're doing. It's really a beautiful service as well. Kabbalat Shabbat calls us to enter the room. I have to say it's really beautiful for myself and for Tami, because the the Zoom grid that we're looking at with all of your faces is transposed exactly on the pews. And so we are quite literally seeing you in the sanctuary, and it really is warming my heart. It's really nice to see you here. Thanks for coming out tonight.
It's so true.
It is. So we say Lecha Dodi. Let's join together in welcoming this moment of Shabbat. If you have a Siddur, a prayer book with you, or if you're joining us on the flip book, the repaginated flip book made possible from the CCAR to all congregations, and the link to that is right next to this one on the website. The blessings for the candles and Kiddush are on pages 3 and 4. I'd like to honor the candles in this moment of Shabbat in a special way for Yom HaShoah. This is from Leo Beck, one of our more famous Holocaust survivors. He writes, "We would assemble in the darkness. To light a candle there, or even a match, would have brought immediate disaster upon us. So we spoke about matters of the spirit and eternal questions about God, about Jews in the world, about the eternity of Israel in darkness. But in the midst of that darkness, I sensed light in the unlit room, knew it was the light of Torah." Let's kindle all of our lights in this moment of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
On page 4, the heaven and the earth were finished in all their array, and on the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it, God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. We join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah banu. V'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'bratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila L'mikrae kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'chata, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava uvratzon, inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh, HaShabbat L'chaim Tovim. Once again, if you have a Siddur with you or following along on page 28, we find the call to worship. And if it's convenient for you there, if it's possible for you there, we invite you to rise with us. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opening the gates, thoughtfully altering the time and changing the seasons, arranging the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night, distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Shema is on page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
You're welcome to be seated if you're standing. We stand for that moment of Shema. We join together now in the words of Ve'ahavta. If you have a book, that is on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בעם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. On page 40, we find the words to Mi Chamocha, reminder of this moment that the Israelites are once again perched between slavery and freedom, about to literally jump off the precipice and create their own moment of freedom in the Red Sea. Viktor Frankl writes this about his moment of miracle in the camps. One evening, when we were already resting on the floor of our hut, dead tired, soup bowls in hand, a fellow prisoner rushed in and asked us to run out to the assembly grounds to see a wonderful sunset. Standing outside, we saw sinister clouds in the west and the whole sky alive with clouds of ever-changing shapes and colors, from steel blue to blood red. The desolate gray mud huts provided a sharp contrast, while the puddles on the muddy ground reflected the glowing sky. And then, after minutes of moving silence, one prisoner said to another, "How beautiful the world can be." Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace this evening and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, against illness, against war and famine and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, O God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Therefore, we pray that you guard our going and coming. You guard us for the sake of life and for the sake of peace. You guard us into eternity. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, V'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Shalom, Hamidenu Shomreinu Lechayim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, V'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, V'hamidenu shomreinu
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus was such a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We rise together, page 46, for our Amidah standing prayer. If you're able, please rise. Svatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha, Adonai, svatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מחכה החיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך מנית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל.
You are holy and your name is holy. Those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. You're welcome to be seated now. We pause for a moment of silence. But what we want to do is take into that moment of silent prayer a special prayer for healing for ourselves, for those in our community who are suffering, for those who are dealing with illness and loss, for those who are suffering from just being in this quarantine, for those who are suffering financially as well. Those are emotional strains. We reach out to one another. We say that those who sow in tears will reap in joy. We pray that those tiny seeds that we plant with one another, even if we are sowing them while we are suffering, might one day bloom and nurture us with their fruit. Some people have already started to do this, but if you'd like to add the name of someone you are thinking of who is in need of a prayer for healing, yourself or someone else, please feel free to do that. At this time, those on our congregational list, our thoughts and prayers go out to them, to Andy Reed, to Michael Rexroth, to David Sachs, Laura Menner, Brian Davis, to Nancy Bonham. There are other names. I'll read them from the chat now. We offer this prayer to Mickey Jeschke, Richard Tarmolin, to Randy Mara, to Anna Beth Spalding, Jill Ross, to Ann Finkel, Tricia Casper, Ruth Roth, Tony Lewis, Cheryl Turner, Chris Carlock, Doreen Zisla, Karen from Blair, to Norma Roth, Janet Stockbridge, Sally Stockbridge, to David Ellerbush, Shelley Iltis, Gary Wood, Judy Pattinger, Mick Burrs, CJ Schneider, Carolyn Heiser, to Jared's friend PJ and his family, Lainey Shipper. We pray for all of them, for our world that is so desperately in need of our healing prayers.
Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who
I invite you now to take a moment for silent prayer and meditation.
If the sun's tears could sing against a white stone, such a yellow is carried lightly way up high. It went away, I'm sure, because it wished to kiss the world goodbye. The very last, so richly, brightly, dazzling yellow. Perhaps if the sun's tears could sing against a white stone. For 7 weeks I've lived in here, and up inside this ghetto. But I have found my people here. The dandelions call to me, and the white chestnut branches in the court. Only I never saw another butterfly. The very last, so richly, brightly, dazzling yellow. Perhaps if the sun's tears could sing against a white stone, that butterfly was the last one. Butterflies don't live in here.
Rabbi Hugo Grin tells his own tale of being in a concentration camp in the winter of 1944. my father took me and some friends to a corner in the barracks. He announced that it was the eve of Hanukkah, produced a small clay bowl. Then he began to light a wick, immersed in his precious but now melted margarine ration. And before he could recite the blessing, I protested at this waste of food. He looked at me, then the lamp, and finally he said, "You and I have seen that it is possible to live up to 3 weeks without food. We once lived almost 3 days without water, but you cannot live properly for 3 minutes without hope." Even in our darkest moments, the wisest among us and our people understood that one cannot do without this one essential ingredient for survival, and that is hope. Now, you and I clearly do not face the horrors of the Holocaust. The Shoah belongs to history, to another time, another place. Even as we recall those terrible days now, this in the week of Yom HaShoah, 80 years have passed. Other atrocities have been witnessed, even as we have again and again shouted, "Never again." We have watched the Jewish community falter and then find its footing and then launch into the 21st century in a position of strength that one generation ago we would never have imagined possible. And yet, those horrors remain with us. They are in our collective consciousness in the form of family members long gone, sights and sounds reduced to movie reels and documentaries, and perhaps most troubling, the dramatic increase of white supremacy groups around the world. These vestiges from the past have crawled their way into the modern world, bent on reminding us always of our otherness, reminding us of a long history of pogroms and expulsions, humiliations and defeats. And yet each and every Hanukkah, our candles still burn. For 80 years, we have polished the silver that was smuggled out of Poland, or we've worked hard to create new memories with beautiful new menorahs, Chanukiot, and candlesticks. We have asked our children again and again to select new ritual objects that speak to them, to gift them to one another for a bat mitzvah or a wedding, to join in with family as we light them all together, to bring them down from the shelf every Friday night. Lighting candles is this most central, significant Jewish ritual, but we often don't stop to consider the meaning of it. We know it feels good. We know that we begin services with this candle lighting. For many of us, these candles evoke other Shabbatot long gone, when there were other flames that burned bright, marking the first moments of Shabbat already passing. We light candles to fight against darkness. Every religion has one form or another of a story wherein one single candle illuminates an entire dark room or dark hallway or basement. One tiny flame is enough to banish the dark to hidden corners. We light candles as a symbol of the work that we can do and must do in the world. The melted wax is not the point, it's the flame. That flame is our souls. It's the same Jewish soul that we speak about in Hatikva, Israel's national anthem. Kol od balevav, we read, as long as within every heart a Jewish soul still sings, Od lo abda tikvatenu, our hope is not yet lost. Today, there are 1,000 reasons to feel discouraged and pessimistic, frustrated by seemingly futile efforts to move our community forward, to get all of our neighbors and ourselves on the proverbial same page, to embrace a shared vision of a country in which all are cared for and faith and compassion become stronger forces than profit or personality. There are 1,000 reasons to see the months ahead as simply another page of pandemic, or even to throw up our hands in defeat. There is only one reason not to, and that is hope. Hope is not some blind or naive belief that things will somehow work themselves out. Hope demands that we spend the time to envision life moving in the right direction, for us to know what it will look like when we get there. Hope inspires us to specific dreams, to real visions for our future. And that hope can be sparked by the smallest thing, the smallest kindness from another, or the grandest of gestures. This past year, we have been acutely reminded the profound value and beauty in a simple walk around the block, the good that that does for our bodies and our souls. We have also learned this great appreciation for those we love. We have learned to expand that circle of love, even to those we are only able to see on a computer screen. Of course, this has been, it continues to be a very difficult time in our congregation and our society. And our tradition teaches, Gam ze ya'avor, this too shall pass. Whether for good or for evil, this will not be our reality forever. Intentionally turning our attention towards life's successes, towards the beauty that we find in one another, to plan for a successful future, that is the way that hope alone might lead us on our path. I want to share with you one mitzvah, commandment, that you may not be aware of, but it's considered one of the greatest commandments. Judaism teaches that every person should, in their lifetime, write their own Torah scroll. It's not only a great commandment because it would be very hard to do. The beauty of the commandment, which I know very few of us will actually do, but the beauty of it lies in what it symbolizes. Our lives, our parchment, our deeds, the words, writes Rabbi David Wolpe about this mitzvah, this commandment. At each moment, we determine the style and content of our scroll. Our master works are written in deeds. Even those who write for a living find their inspiration and guidance in life. The commandment is not that each of us should own a Torah scroll, but rather that we write one. We obligate ourselves to see the chapter we are in now as only one small part of a larger story of our lives, in the context of great and big and beautiful dreams that we have dreamt, accomplishments that we have realized, other accomplishments that we will realize. What could be different about your life today, right now, if you saw this moment as a page of your own book, the beautiful story that one day we will pass on, God willing, to our children as well. On this day of remembrance, as we think back on the lessons learned from the Shoah, the Holocaust, the many lives and communities that we lost, know that we cannot and should not want to rewrite that scroll. But I think of that small vial of margarine, a single rabbi inspired by one moment of bright light, which for the time it took to say the blessing, cleared away a sea of suffering and devastation surrounding him. We can live without food and water for a little while longer. But hope, that's our will to live. It animates all our other choices. We must help each other stay with hope, live with hope, to know that our dreams, however large or small they are greatly needed, now more than ever, in our world. Shabbat Shalom. Pleasure as always to welcome a member of our board, Jeff Abrams. Shabbat Shalom to you.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. I am Jeff Abrams, a member of the board. Last announcements I gave, I heard they were adored. So let's rock ahead with Aleph Bet Gimel Daled. The announcements tonight will again be exquisitely solid. Our annual meeting is scheduled for May 2. Meet our new executive director, Pete Smithheisler, who is brand new. It will begin sharply at 3 p.m. on the dot. So turn on your Zoom from your home or your yacht. At the annual meeting, we will update you on the status of IHC. There are more things going on than all the salt in the Dead Sea. We will ask you to approve the new board member slate. They are special people who are incredibly great. The clergy has done such a wonderful job this year. We are fortunate to have such leadership without any fear. Please thank them in any way that you see fit. Send them a note or a card, as I know it will be a big hit. Summer camp will be back and better than ever, COVID-free and without worries whatsoever. But tonight is the deadline for scholarship applications, so go immediately to our website without any distractions. Time is running out, so quickly turn on the lamp and apply for financial support to send your kids to our spectacular camp. Scholarships are made available by the incredible generosity of our members. They graciously give to IHC in April, September, and December. We still have many challenges that the clergy and the board must face to keep our synagogue a beautiful, welcoming, loving, caring, supportive, sweet, lovely, and embracing worshiping place. So we have one last request for your financial support for this year, and that is to consider a gift to keep us running in high gear. So please send us a check or go online to provide a meaningful gift and provide the entire board and clergy spirits a wonderful lift. In all seriousness, we do need your help. While we have minimized our expenses and leaned out as much as we can, we don't want to cut programs or learning experiences. We do not need a large check today, tomorrow, or Sunday, though we certainly won't send it back if you decide to send us one. But what we would ask is that every month, when you write a check for your mortgage or your rent, you include a check to IHC. Every month through the end of this year would be incredibly helpful, whether it be $18, $54, or even $100. Anything will help us make our budget so we can continue to employ the wonderful people who provide the programs and learning opportunities for our children and grandchildren. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
This is the warmth that we'd like to share with you, Jeff. That was wonderful. And the gauntlet is thrown down again. This is going to be tough for other board members to follow. We love the poetry. Please keep it coming. We want you to all know that this is the moment. We try really hard not to do fundraising all year long, but this is the moment when we'll know what 2021 is going to look like. You have responded already in such generous ways. 2020 was a huge success, and our budget was in great shape last year, even with the amount of challenge that we faced with COVID. And we are very much hoping to be back in person at some point this year, soon, hopefully. And the only way we can do that is to keep investing in the community. So help us make it through 2021. Help us make it a wonderful year. It's wonderful to see so many of you on Shabbat. I hope that you did have a chance to, as I mentioned, see the Yom HaShoah observance that the Federation put together. It was really a beautiful job done by the JCRC and their staff. And I believe it's still an active link They pre-recorded it, so it's all available. All of the clergy in town are involved, and it was really a beautiful, beautiful program featuring a really powerful speaker. So I encourage you to see that if you haven't yet. And with that, we'll turn to our concluding prayers for this Shabbat. We decided to, now that we're back in the sanctuary, try to stretch ourselves a little bit, include as much of our traditional liturgy as we can. So if you've got a book, a prayer book with you, or looking at the flip book, the Aleinu is found on page 282 at the bottom of that page. Once again, I'd invite you to rise, either in body or in spirit.
Aleinu l'shabeach
L'Adon
hakol,
hakol,
ha'tei
kedula
le'otzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
We now think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and the many, many martyrs of our people who we remember at this time of year with our own. If you are here remembering someone in particular that you'd like us to mention and that don't have their name yet, please do feel free to use the chat, and we'll make sure to include those names as best we can. On this Shabbat, our congregational family is remembering Shelley Nefusi Lips, Rabbi Michael Cook, Anita Castle, David Lowenstein, all who were taken from us during the past month, whose families are in the period of Shloshim. We also remember those whose yahrzeits occur this week, the anniversary of their passing. On this Shabbat, we remember Ava Apter, Julia Apter, Louis Bale, Ruth Adele Chernin, Arvel Cox, Thomas Dakich Sr., Benjamin Edenberg, Robert Edmonds, William Epstein, Gertrude Dorson Fallon, William Feldman, Helen Telesnik Fickman, Richard Dick Fine, Robin Sarah Fuldauer, Lois Fuldauer, Wendy Galan, Harvey Greenberger, Stephen Grossman, Christopher Hargis, Dorothy Hyman, Mary Louise Hertz, Joyce Isaacs, Fred Layton, Lillian Leventhal, John Lyon, Rosalind Mandel, Albert Miller, Ida Lisker Nickbarg, Marjorie Pearson, Mary Jane Pop, Richard Dick Reed, Leonard Ryder, Elsie Siegel, Dora Shapiro, Bella Stein, Lois Tobin, Rose Vigran, John Vokitz, William Wentico. Zichronam livracha. Their memories are always going to be blessing for us, in addition to the names we've listed in our chat. Charles Carter, Teresa and Jean Steffi, Anna Brookie. We remember them. We all join our collective memories together. In addition to those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, you're welcome to rise as we join in the words of Mourner's Kaddish with one voice. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevorach la'olam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudsha b'richu la'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushvachata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. We add to that blessing, a blessing for peace for all who dwell on earth with the words, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, and say once again together, amen. Amen. In this moment of memory, I would like to add this final invocation. In the presence of eyes which witnessed the slaughter, which saw the oppression that the heart could not bear, and as witness, the heart that once taught compassion until the days came to pass that crushed human feeling, I have taken an oath to remember it all, to remember, not once to forget. Forget not one thing, to the last generation when degradation shall cease, to the last, to its ending, when the rod of instruction shall have come to conclusion. An oath, not in vain, passed over the night of terror. An oath, no morning shall see me at flesh pots again. An oath, lest from this we learned nothing. Let us declare the oneness of our God in memory and celebration of Shabbat. Hashem Allah, B'terem kol yitzir nivra, Yed nasa b'chetzo kol, Azai melech, Shemo nikra. Shabbat Shalom. May this important moment of memory for us as a community lead you to inspiration for a Shabbat ahead and a week ahead, full of peace, full of reaching out to others and feeling the joy that community has to offer us, the hope that community has to offer us. If you have a challah, I invite you to join with us as we offer this blessing. Of course, it's always important to remember that when we bless the challah, we are also truly blessing the next generation. So especially for the kids that are with us here, Shabbat Shalom to you, and to our family service participants who are in another room, but we bless them anyway. Let us bless them all together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Now, I just have to say, when we say Shabbat Shalom, that Larry Cohen, it looks as if he has enough challah to share with everybody. So thank you, Larry, for bringing enough challah for all. Hopefully the dogs won't get to it so we can come over and have a bite. Please do take a moment and unmute yourself. Let's wish one another a Shabbat Shalom.
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 Hallelujah.
Shalom.
Shalom. We love you.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Great service. Thank you.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom to you.
Shalom.
Have a good weekend, sweetie.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
You too.
Joy.
Elsa, you're missing out on hearing it.
She's around
This
here.
guy is eating the whole challah like it's a piece of bread.
I inadvertently switched the camera.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Rabbi.
it's hilarious.
You all. Miss Stephanie.
There he is.
Save our chat.
See him?
Save that if you can, please do. Oh, wait, maybe I found it. I found it. There we go. I want to
Come on,
save
show
all
him
your
again.
wonderful comments. Shabbat Shalom to you. And let me just say, if you do have Misha Barach or someone that you'd like for clergy to get in touch with, we hope that you get in touch with us directly so that we can reach out to you. We look forward to talking to you at all.
I'm trying to find the
Shabbat
guy
Shalom
with the
to you.
hollow.
Have a wonderful, restful day. Enjoy the weather. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Hi, Eric and Teresa.
Hi, Dee and Ron.
Ruby, give mommy some